So Girl on Top Step Back got a lot of negative backlash and good comments, good feedback as well, because of the message of the song. It's about a girl dissing another girl for trying to steal her man. Many people felt like this is another trashy song, very traditional, and they're very disappointed because Girl on Top being the name of the girl group and being the best of all SM girl groups, they felt like this should be about empowerment, but you came up with another song about trashing another girl, you know. But so in any kind of art, there's a long-standing debate between art for art's sake and art for society. So when you're looking at art, are you expecting it to serve a higher purpose? Should be as political statement or social statement, but or should it for, you know, support a cause or whatever? Or should it be just art, something that serves nothing but itself? And I will explain those two concepts, and probably hopefully that's going to help all of us when we're make a better judgment when we're trying to look at art. But let's get into the music video first. Okay. Karina open. I kind of felt, so in the beginning when it was just clapping and this chanting, voices of men, this is what I talk about when you're the first 3 seconds is always what sets the tone for the song. And when I heard this, when I heard the opening, when it was very bare, there's one clear message to me that this is the best of all SM girl group members, and you don't need a lot of embellishment for them to rise above, because their presence, their skill, and their talent is enough, or are enough to make them go to the top. So that's the initial impression that I got, that they kept it to the minimum, because when you're introducing 7 of the most powerful performers out there, what do you need the layers for? What do you need the instruments for, right? Second is that because they used men, it did make me feel in the beginning, if had I not known about what the song is about, it would have made me feel like, oh, so men are just support for this 7 women. Okay. I do like the grandness of the beginning. It could have been bigger, but I like it just enough. I was very surprised that Karina opened. I thought it was going to be Boa. Okay. I think that there is too much emphasis on shiny, shimmering, splendid in the video. The costume design, they're nice, they're very, very nice. But I would have preferred personally, because you get the best of all of your girl groups. I'm kind of expecting the queens, right? I would rather see Majesty rather than but this is just a personal preference. It doesn't mean that what they're wearing are ugly, but the clothes that they're wearing are ugly. It's just that I would have preferred Majesty over Sex Appeal. I feel like at this stage in their career, they don't need all of these embellishments anymore. I would rather see Monarchy at this stage. The opening I like the beat. I don't like the melody, but I like the beat. I feel like they could have given these girls something better in terms of melody, but anyway. It's catchy though. It's very, very catchy. It's a lot of hands. That's cute. See, that was Yoyon and Karina are known to be the dancers of their respective groups, and of course Boa. No one can question just how good of a dancer she is. I feel like they could have given them more complicated routine when it was their turn in the beginning. I think it was an injustice to their skill. I was expecting more complicated movements and routine when it comes to they can certainly do it. Why? I think that's those. It's not bad. It's just that I set my expectations high. This is Yoyon. And Karina, come on, they're the best dancers in their groups. Give them something where they could really display their skills. But not that it's bad, it's just that I think I set my expectations too high. I love the pink hair though. She really stood out because of that. The instruments are so bare. The layers actually just a lot of winter there. Now the camera loves her. There's a lot of I'm just realizing that the instruments are very bare. There's only some layers that come in during the chorus, but the rest of the time it's just a synthesizer, I think, and then some humming or some percussion. So I think it's a clear statement that and it works, at least for me it's really working, that you don't need a lot of layers and complications when there's 7 queens right in front of you. Why do you need drum beating when the impact of these 7 girls would be enough? The presence of the 7 girls is enough for you to shake the world. You don't need a lot of layers in your instrument. So that at least works for me. Okay. I would have done it the other way. I would have Boa standing up and the rest sitting down. She's the queen anyway. The camera loves winter. There's a separate dance break. Again, it's not that the routine is bad, but this is Yoyon. These are the best dancers. Why not give them something more complicated in terms of routine? It's very catchy though. The music, the melody is very catchy. It's stuck in my head actually. So that is something they did well. SM is actually very good at that. They know how to pick certain beats and certain sound and make it stick to your head. So now I feel like I'm going to say step back for the rest of the day. So that's very catchy. And again, the glamour, I can't say enough. There's it's beautiful by itself. It's just that I set my expectations differently, I think. So in that dance routine, I would really give them something more complicated. These are the best dancers in SM. No reason for you to not give them something complicated. But. This is unpopular opinion, but I actually I don't like the high notes of Taeyeon. I like her voice, but I don't like it when she hits those really, really high notes. There's I like Wendy's better actually, but uh, if you're going to give Taeyeon a chance to her, if you're going to give her her own moment in the song, I would have done something more than just make her go for that yeah note all the way up to the end. I would have given her a piece where she can really display her vocal power, because she has a powerful vocal power. Me not liking her high notes is just a personal preference, but again, I'm underwhelmed. I would have rather that they would have given Taeyeon something more so that she can really display just how good of a vocalist she is. And then Wendy's another one. I actually, between Taeyeon and Wendy, I like Wendy's high notes better. But I'm also underwhelmed by her. Wendy is one of the best vocalists ever in K-pop. See that formation when they fell in line? I think like that was that part when they are in line in formation, and you can see the seven of them. I would rather give this a more. I would give this more, like it should stand for something more than just a group of girls displaying how hot they are and popping off those dance moves. I prefer to get something more. Again, it's all because I think I have my expectations differently, because these are the best of SM groups. So I think this was a missed opportunity. This moment should have stood for something more. I like this part. Okay, so now let's go into I think I've said everything I wanted to say. That specific part of their routine, I like that. I think it's a very catchy tune. That step back is going to haunt me for the rest of the week, the rest of my day. I do feel like maybe it's just my expectations. It's not that the routine is bad, but I would rather that they they get something. I would rather that they get something more complicated in terms of routine, just so they could have displayed the skills of the main dancers of SM. And the same for the vocalists. If you wanted to give Taeyeon her moment, her time to shine in that, I would rather give her something more than just belt out a single note to the highest that she can take it. And then just, I think Boa, I'm underwhelmed with what they did to Boa. She's the queen of SM. She created SM. If it wasn't for her, SM wouldn't be where it is now. So I think she deserves to have been emphasized as the queen. That's what she is. But I think it is a good idea to keep the instruments and the music in its minimum, because you don't need anything more when you have seven queens right in front of you. Okay, so let's get to the actual meat of the debate on whether should you actually expect art to serve for something, or art should be just that, art for art's sake. So there's this long-standing debate when it comes to art, not just music but art itself. Back in the 19th century in France, so there was a movement against during that time. Many of the paintings that were being sold, that were being created, they were a reflection of history, nature, cosmic power, belief and faith. I'm embellishing, but you get what I mean. It's all about it. It depicts something very important in their history or their identity. And then, so because of that, it's always expected that the painting should reflect a very important, I just repeated what I said. So, okay. So now there's a group of painters who came forward and said that art should not be expected to stand for something more than art itself. So they're saying that art should serve itself. When you're looking at art, you're supposed to look at it for its own merit, its own beauty. You know, if you're looking at a painting, judge it for the strokes, the colors that were used, the concept of the maybe the balance, you know, depending on the style that was used. But you shouldn't expect like the overall message, a social message from the painting itself. It's just, if you paint a nude woman, for example, okay, this is a good example actually. Like if I paint, if not me, but if a painter paints a scene from a rape scene, you know, a woman being raped by, let's say, whatever, being raped, or a child being abused, and it was it and made it look like it's such a glamorous act for a child to be abused or for a woman to get raped. That, from a sociological perspective, moral perspective, that's a no. Of course, you should never ever do that. But what they're saying is, you're not supposed to look at the moral meaning of the painting. Just judge it for its beauty. Were the strokes right? Were the colors right? The style that was used, was it pointillism or abstract or whatever? So disregard the morality. Art has no morality. It has no sociological and political rule. It's just art. So now translate that into other forms of art. It's not just that. It could be a sculpture, it could be a movie, it could be a song. So when, for example, they created so there's a lot of movies. So take that into movies, for example, Trainspotting, where one of the best movies of all time, starring Ewan McGregor. Or there are other movies that in the end it's the criminals actually end up being the winner of the, you know, the things go in the favor of the criminals. So those movies can then be accused of being a bad movie because they favored the bad people or the bad situation. Trainspotting was all about this drug addict, and in the end, I'm not going to spoil the movie, but in those movies, the bad people or the bad situation, they were favored. So if we take that art is supposed to serve a role in the society, then these movies should be considered bad. But the fact is that there are a lot of good movies that turned out that in the end they favored the bad people or the crime, but they're still good movies. There are a lot of movies that justify or look into the humanity of criminals. There's been movies done to study the humanity of serial killers. You know, they just not justify, but they sort of they sort of paint serial killers as humans. They have their own struggles and stuff like that. And so those movies are well made, but now they're considered bad because they're not supposed to do that. So translate that into other paintings. There's a lot of paintings that were a depiction of violence. So are we then, even though it's well made, you look at it as such a great painting, but then can we then say that this is a bad painting because it does not send a message that such a scene should not be condoned? You know, it's a painting is just one. It's just capturing a specific moment, so it can't really justify itself. So the same thing is true with the song. Are we then going to expect that song should serve society instead of just art, which is just supposed to serve nothing else but itself? So if you apply it to Girl on Top, can we then, if we take out, should we even take out the consideration that the song is about a girl dissing another girl because because art is not supposed to serve society. Can we take that out of the equation? Or if we're going to do that, if we are going to say that no, songs should serve a higher purpose, then we need to re-examine many of the songs that we consider great, because many of them are really questionable. There's even a lot of songs that don't mean anything, that Beatles themselves actually admitted that they put together a song. Was that, I forget the name, the name skips me now, but they have a song, they admitted that they just put the words together to piss off people. They wanted to manipulate people, but play games with people and see how people are going to interpret it, when in fact, purposely, they just put words together and then created a song. Will that then be considered a bad song? And Oasis did the same thing. I think BTS did the same thing. They have a song that everyone thought was about brokenness and something, and apparently it was about a game, video game. So then so if we're going to claim that songs are supposed to serve the society, then we need to re-examine and go back to many of the songs that were written before. But if we're going to say that, then let's just say people agree that art is for art's sake, and it's not expected to serve a higher purpose or a bigger purpose, and that art is a class on its own, then this song should be okay. Like what they did should be okay. Now, another thing that was brought into my attention was that this was written by somebody who he called K-pop women specifically a derogatory term. So it should be on your screen right now, but I don't wanna say mouth the words that he said. But that is going to bring in another question on whether or not the identity and morality of the creators of art should play a part in judging whether an art is good or not. Because if that is so, Da Vinci is in trouble. A lot of artists before would be in trouble because they did abuse a lot of people. A lot of history should be revisited. Yeah, if we say that the morality of an artist should be taken into consideration, whether or not an art is good, then there's a lot of artists out there that we should go back to and review. Doesn't make what he did okay though. All right, so I'm not actually gonna answer whether art should be for art's sake or whether it should be for society or not. I'm just gonna leave it up to you. But those are the two separate schools of thought. I hope you learned something.